Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing good. So today we are going to look at the longest substring with no repeating characters problem. It's a question that's commonly asked in Meta, Google and Amazon. So let's get started. So first let's go over the question. Given a string yes, find the length of the longest substring without repeating characters. So it's straightforward. You're going to find a longer substring with just unique characters, okay? Now let's see what approach we can use for this and how we are going to solve this problem. I'm going to use a sliding window approach to solve this problem. If you have no idea on what sliding window is, then I request you to go over the sliding window concept video that I made, and I'm going to link it with this video. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to use a third example to go over our approach. I'm going to have a variable called maximum length, and this is what I would be returning, the length of the longest substring. So I'm going to initialize it to a minimum value in the starting, and I'm going to have two variables called window start and window end. Window start is going to keep track of the starting element of the window, and window end is going to iterate over the characters in our string. So we need a data structure to store the characters that we come across and to ensure that the characters are not repeated in our substring, right? So for that, I'm going to use a hash set. So in this hash set, we'll be storing the characters that we come across, okay? So the first character that window end is pointing to is P. P is not present in our hash set, so we are going to insert P in our hash set, and the maximum length is going to be 1, okay? And then we are going to increment window end to the next character, and now window end is pointing to W, and W is not present in our hash set, so we are going to insert W, and the maximum length is now 2, right? So the next character that window end is pointing to is W. W is already present in our hash set, so it's time to shrink our window, right? So how do we shrink our window? We need to eliminate the character that window start is pointing to, okay? So window start is pointing to P, so I'm going to eliminate P, okay? And I'm going to discard P from our hash set also, okay? And then I'm going to increment the window start pointer, and window start is now pointing to W again, and W is still present in our hash set, which means we still have to shrink our window. So W is removed from our hash set and discarded, and now window start is incremented. Window start is now pointing to W, and W is not present in our hash set, right? So we can insert W now into our hash set, okay? So now the maximum length is still 2 because we just have one element in our substring right now, so maximum length is going to remain as 2, okay? And in the next iteration, window end is going to point to K, okay? K is not present in our hash set, so I'm inserting K, okay? And the maximum length is going to remain as 2. And now the window end is going to point to E, okay? E is not present in our hash set, so we can insert E into our hash set, and the maximum length is going to be 3. And now we increment the window end pointer, and now as you can see, window end is pointing to W. W is already present in our hash set. Now it's time to shrink our window, and window start is pointing to W, so that's the element that we are going to discard. So W is discarded, and it's also discarded from our hash set, okay? And window start is now pointing to K, okay? Now W is not present in our hash set, and we are going to insert W, and the maximum length is going to remain as 3 because we already found the maximum value. It's the same, so we are not going to replace. So we have reached the end of our string, so our iteration will be over, and we are going to return the maximum length as 3. So I hope you understood the approach. This is what we are going to do with the programming also. So let's get straight into it. So I'm going to have a variable called maximum length, and I'm going to initialize it to a minimum value. And this maximum length is what I'm going to return out of this function, and if it is equal to the minimum value that we initialize, it means that we never found a substring with unique characters, right? So in that case, I'm going to return 0, otherwise I'm going to return the maximum length, okay? And now what we are going to do is we are going to have a variable called window start, which is going to represent the starting character of the window. And I'm going to have a data structure that keeps track of the characters that we come across, right? So for that, I'm going to have a hash set. So now I'm going to have a for loop where I'm going to have a variable called window end, and this is going to iterate over the characters in our string, okay? And I'm going to get the character that window end is pointing to. So now what we need to do is we need to check if this character is present in a hash set. Okay, if it is present, then it means that we need to keep shrinking our window until this character is present in a hash set. So how are we going to do this? We need to eliminate the character that window start is pointing to, right? So that's what we are going to do. We are going to discard the character that window start is pointing to from the hash set, as well as we are going to increment the window start to the next element. Okay. While this set contains this character, we are going to shrink the window. So we are going to remove the character that window start points to. Okay, and then we are going to increment the window start. So this is how we'll shrink our window. Now what we need to do is we need to add this particular element into our hash set and then update the maximum length. So maximum length is updated now. Set. Let's run this program. So I want to quickly go over the program to ensure that you understood it. So we are going to have a variable called maximum length, and that's what we are going to return. And we have two variables, window start and window end. Window start is going to keep track of the starting element of our window, and window end is going to iterate over our characters in the string. Okay, and I have a data structure to store the characters that we come across. Okay, for that I'm using hash set. So what we are going to do is we need to insert the character that window end is pointing to into our hash set. But before we insert that character, we need to ensure that we are not inserting any repeated characters, right? So that's why these steps exist. Okay, so if at all the set contains a character, then we are removing the character that our window start points to. Okay, and we keep doing that until the set contains this character, the character that window end points to. Okay, and after that we are adding the character into our hash set and updating our maximum length. So the time complexity of this problem is going to be big of n, because we iterate over all the characters in the string, and the space complexity is going to be big of n, because in worst case, what if all the elements are unique, right? Thanks for watching. Hope this video was helpful. Let's soon meet again with another coding video. Bye.